just got caught typing. Good evening. There's not many people on at the moment, and it's a whole new setup. Well, it's a newish setup here. This is the Phil Swallow Show. I am live on YouTube, and appreciate your support for all that I do. And this is just my kind of monthly catch up where I share with you what's been going on, bit behind the scenes, and again, just a chance to have a little chit chat. So we've got a handful of people on at the moment. There is obviously the World Cup on at the moment. Japan are playing Brazil, and it's 1-1 at the moment because I've got a kind of live notification widget on there. So I'm not sure how long left on the game, but we're going to carry on regardless tonight. So thank you so much for coming on. Now, the other thing which doesn't always work on here is the notifications. Hopefully they will pick up. But this show goes out as an audio version. So I can't remember what I've said so far, but this is Monday, the 29th of June, 2026, show number 195. Cool, 200's coming up. And yeah, chit chat, Phil Swallow. Hello, David. Done a few different things recently. I'll talk about the walk in a minute. One of the football kind of related things was actually just after the last show. So I did the show at the end of May Bank Holiday Monday. And then the day after I flew off to Leipzig. Had 2 wonderful days there. Crystal Palace won the UEFA Conference League trophy on the Wednesday. Absolutely amazing experience. Wouldn't have missed it for the world. And then back to earth, and I think, well, we had a heat wave then, and then we've obviously had another kind of heat wave in between, and at the moment the weather's a bit more friendly, I think, depending on wherever you are. And I know that the people who support what I do here are often from far and wide because you're kind of connected to the area but maybe live elsewhere now. So yeah, so the Leipzig thing, another trophy, brilliant. I kind of did a bit of video. I did some live Facebook stuff quite a bit. And I don't think I managed to retrieve it from Facebook since then, although it's always a bit naff quality. So I just let that go, really. I did record some stuff on my phone, played around with editing it, but wasn't really happy with it. So I decided to just kind of leave it where it was, and just some memories, really. So that was that. Now, one of the other things that I'd mentioned in the past is that I've been selling off old gear, and that's been pretty successful. You have to kind of leave, it's all through eBay. Sometimes you have to leave stuff on there for a while before it gets traction, but I managed to sell a lot. So I'm gradually, I say upgrading, in some cases replacing the gear with better gear for the videos, in other cases just supplementing. So the camera that I'm using tonight is the camera that will be used for my stuff going forward. I've got a couple of different lenses to go with it. I just wanted to be able to get different angles, different focus levels. The GoPro is brilliant. It's really flexible. It served me well. It's still likely to always be in my bag, but it's just kind of fixed focus at a certain angle, so it can be a bit limited sometimes. Right, we got an evening from Martin. I had a choice tonight between England cricket highlights or your show, so here I am. Well, yeah, were there any highlights? I don't know. I think the writing was on the wall for the England cricket team. And good evening, Merlin's cat. And hello to everyone. Yeah, so it's a smaller number tonight. We often have a little bit more than this, and it may change. I don't know if anyone got the notifications. I'm just checking my email to see if I got anything. I don't think I did. I don't, it's weird how the notifications go for live streams. I think it's meant to come out maybe half an hour before, or maybe when I actually go live, although you'd kind of want it before then, wouldn't you, really? So I don't know. Sometimes the timing of my receipt of a notification coincides with yours. So good evening, Rodeer, and that's a good evening to everyone from Rodeer. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. I will do my best to keep up to date with the score. Still 1-1 at the moment, if my widget on my Mac can be trusted. So yeah, so I can. There's a great feature with this camera, right? So I'm going to demonstrate. One of the things you can do, one of the modes, is product demonstration mode. So what I can do, the focus is on me, but if I held up, say, this lens, I'm trying to put the nick on there. So it goes to focus on the lens and then goes back to me afterwards. Not a great example, but you get the idea. I'm not going to be doing like demos of things you can buy, but it's just a way of, I'm going to hold something else up later so you can have a look then. So yes, selling gear, I made some good money. And at one point eBay said, we need to notify the Inland Revenue. Are you okay with that? Well, it's all been kind of generally personal purchases over the years, and there've been depreciation, and then I just sell it. So I'll have a good story, or not a story, a good account should the Inland Revenue come knocking and thinking I'm running a business. But it's not. There's stuff that I bought, stuff that I'm selling. I'm upgrading without having to kind of spend money, because I'm ploughing back what I sold, and it's working really well. So I've got a new camera, got a gimbal for the camera for stabilization, so you can get lots of creativity with that. So yeah, that's the plan, is to bring that in. And it might just be that sometimes, if we take the most recent video with Richard, it could be that if I've got the second camera in the bag and I wanted to highlight things at zoom, the zoom on the camera is going to be better than the zoom on the phone. So it's that kind of thing. Disappointing news in British tennis interest. Is there still any British tennis interest? Because Emma Raducanu pulled out with a stress fracture. And then I saw, was it Jack Draper? I'm guessing names here. And Cameron Norrie went out today. So I'm not sure how many we got left. Because I think, didn't they say we've got the most British interest that we've had for a while? And as at the end of day one, we probably haven't any longer got the most interest. So let's have a look. Maybe we'll do better in the doubles. Actually, isn't that what we've generally done better at? Doubles or mixed doubles? I'm thinking back to John Lloyd, but obviously there's been other quite successful doubles couples over the years. Hi Ray, any chance you can find any history on the prefab estate at Tedder Road, Addington? Now, do you mean Tedder Road, Selsdon, which is Monk's Hill, or do you mean the prefabs at New Addington, which I assume were built post-war just because of shortage of materials and speed of construction? I think I've read some stuff somewhere. I say about the Tedder Road because my old nan, dearly departed many years ago, used to live in Tedder Road in one of the flats, just as you went up and sort of turned round and up the hill. So Nan lived there. So yeah, that was Tedder Road in Monk's Hill, but there might be a different road. It could be a different road that's in Addington. So I can have a look at that. Sinner struggled in his first match. Okay, so he's reigning champion, Yannick Sinner. Okay, we're covering the sports tonight. Monk's Hill, okay. Yeah, so yeah, not done much in that area. It will feature in a video, or the area will, when I do my water feature tour video. Those of you who are regulars on here know that I often mention that. But Graham and I are going to have a meeting soon. It will happen. So we got a comment from Rhodia that you're going to prompt me now to talk about one of my big things of the week. Really enjoy the Persities history tour video, having lived near that area in the past. Very interesting, and so much history in the area. Would be good if they still did ice creams or even gelato. I'm going to put that up to the broadcast. So there we go. Yeah, wouldn't it just be great? A number of people have asked Richard if there is the recipe somewhere, and he said there isn't. But actually, we've had that conversation. I think he said one of his sons has, that there's probably an argument nowadays. So when Persities went, obviously there was competition, but mainly from Walls and Lions Made and all those emerging big brands that were able to just get ice cream ranges out there and in supermarkets and that. It was a whole sea change really. And but now you're starting to see more sort of bespoke, sort of independent businesses that are setting up and being successful. People are looking for something different rather than a chain that you see on every high street around the country. So I said to Richard, maybe the timing is right to reinvent Persity ice cream. I suggested that what would be quite nice would be a cafe where you could go get like the pastries, like is it cannolis and those kind of things. But you'd have an ice cream part of it as well. So it'd be lovely. In my head, I'm visualising it, but I'm not sure if it'll happen. And we got Me Too from there. Why did they change Gilbert Scott? Yeah, that's some academy now, is it? I don't know. Again, I must have a general update in that area because it's not too far from here. But yes, it was an absolute delight to do that video with Richard. So let me explain first. I think I have explained before that we do have a family connection, but I had to go into one of these family history websites, put in my family tree and Richard's so far back, to then click on the two of us and say, what is our connection? So are you ready for this? I'm going to read to you. This is from the genealogist, I think, but they all do the same kind of thing. So the first individual is Richard Pacitti. Second individual is me. The connection, the result. First cousin one time removed of husband of first cousin one time removed, and first cousin one time removed of wife of first cousin one time removed. So we are related. It's a bit of a mouthful. So it's a non-blood relation. It's through marriage, but we worked it all back. But that to me is quite nice really, that we've got that connection. So, and it was I suppose a mutual friend, Griff Griffiths, who runs a sort of internet radio show, and was formerly very big in the music scene, and he's still around and larger than life. And he got us together. He invited me as a guest on his radio show, and we actually phoned Richard from the show. And from there we met up for a coffee, and it kind of went from there really, and we get on really, really well. And Richard had worked on the talk, so he did the talk at Sanderstead Local History Group last October, and he's done it at least a couple of times, I think, since then. And we've also done a talk on the streets of Adventure, which has got a kind of overlap with that. And I said to Richard, we should get out and film this. And so he put some ideas down. We worked on how we would do it, the route, and we just went out and did it. We had a spot in the diary. We were actually going to film on the Monday of, what is it, a couple of weeks ago now. The weather was naff, and I don't like filming in naff weather. In fact, we had some thunder that wasn't even in the forecast. And then we penciled in the Tuesday, went out there, beautiful sunny day. In fact, I think the weather on the Wednesday was naff again. But anyway, we went out on the Tuesday, we filmed, and in the filming process, we basically, as often you do when you're filming, is we did some bits 2 or 3 different ways so that it gave me some edit options. And as you know by now, I suppose I'm a bit of a different vlogger in that I don't just record what I'm seeing on the camera and then put it out there. I add lots of elements and overlays to it to help supplement and tell the story. I've always got the maps and the dissolves, but obviously we've got some images and stuff like that. And I just find, to me, to my brain, if I'm hearing a story or seeing and hearing a story, it just helps me to absorb it. And obviously with what I do, I hope that how I like to do stuff is how people also like to receive stuff. And it's been, as I say, it's been a great pleasure. The numbers have been phenomenal. I don't know, when I looked earlier this afternoon, we'd had 4,900 views in just over a week, which I can't remember. I've got videos that have done much more than that, but over time. So I don't know. The most recent one that took off was the World's End video that I put live in December. But this hopefully will do even better. But it seems to have had some appeal, some reach. I've had some wonderful comments where people say they don't even know the area, they've got no connection with the area, but they just enjoyed sitting down and watching it, like a kind of bit like a TV thing. So that is absolute music to my ears. So I'm thanking you in this video for your support and encouragement, because you don't really know how these might go, how they might take off. you hope that they do well. You hope that everyone you do does well. But I just said to Richard when we'd filmed it and I was doing the edit, he came round during the edit process. I'd sort of done most of it, but I said I've still got a chance to finesse it a little bit. So we did some tweaks then. And I just said to him at that point, I said, I think this will be okay. And it's been okay. It's been brilliant. So I really do, again, appreciate that. So it's just been wonderful to see that. And we do plan to do some more. I'm just going to catch up with some comments that have just come in. So didn't carry on in form of an ice cream truck. Yeah, because obviously now ice cream trucks you see, don't you? This is so they had the business, they had the shop and the sort of factory kind of front, and then the factory at the back in Windmill Road, side by side, which is the thumbnail of the video. But they did go out to events. Obviously there was his uncle who had the cart, but they went out in vans to events all over the place. So any of the big events that you'd had, the carnival type events and all that sort of stuff, they had floats in carnivals in the early days. But that's why when Richard's, like, he gave a talk at the Soper Hall for the Bourne Society recently, and there are people there that's predominantly a kind of out of Croydon area, but there are people that are connected with the area, and people within the Bourne Society group remember from many moons ago of the ice cream van going out to functions and events. So it is a shame that it wasn't able to carry on. He lost a grandmother's grave at the cemetery at Prince's. Yeah, so that I had to do some investigation a year ago. Me and another guy from CNHSS were looking for a couple of graves. Someone had made a request. They live in another part of the country. Excuse me. That was a swig of water for the audio version. Honestly, it's water. And we had to involve the cemetery team at Mitcham Road. And they produced this absolutely wonderful map of all the graves. But if you took that map and then went to Queen's Road Cemetery, you'd say, well, actually, this looks like a field rather than loads of plots. But they are there. But there's no markings. They've just crumbled and gone. And I guess within generations that stay around or stay in the area, they can maintain a grave. But often many just go. That's a sad fact, unfortunately. But yeah, so there's a lot like that. But it's got a certain presence to it there. I quite like the Queen's Road site. Having been there a few times now on, well, business, but it's not really my stuff, not business per se. So we've got, there's an independent ice cream business here in Devon, Hockings, and their vans regularly appear at various spots throughout North Devon. So yeah, so I guess that's probably a bit like the Pacities may have been then, and who knows, it might be now. Because I think most ice cream vans are generally independent. You don't always see them associated with a brand. They might have sponsorship of Walls and whatever. Naff. Lovely video and widely appreciated. Scoop Cafe's apparently doing well ice cream wise at Wallingham and Caterham. Yep, so that's independent business. Caterham Valley is at 5.2k. Oh, good. And the flats, the only block there at the time surrounded by the prefabs, number 66A, first floor. The numbers all changed now. Okay. But yeah, I mean, so you could argue that if you went, because you can't see so many of the sites that were there, but we've got so much information and the stories. Richard put me onto this book, so I'm going to try and get it so it doesn't reflect. At the Precipice of Poverty. So that is a book from D.T. Blakely. Got it from Amazon, and it's about Bangor, which actually was called Bangall originally, but it was so yeah. I've got something on my screen now. I don't know what that was. Yes, so it's, and there's different suggestions for why it was named that way. But that book, I've read the first chapter, and it would almost make the Peaky Blinders guys blush. I don't know if I've used the right analogy there, but it's violent, extremely violent. So it had a mixed reviews, I suppose, on Amazon, but it's a good read. It's quite well written. I think it might have been the only book that author ever did. So we're probably going to do a revisit to that area, and there's a number of other things that we found out. Obviously, it's quite industrial up there. There's a lot of war stories in that area. Obviously, there's from there you could almost do a springboard and go further up Whitehorse Lane. I've obviously been to Grangewood Park, but there might be a bit in between that we could fill in. My mum lived at Saxon Road, and there's plane crashes and bomb stories, Saxon Road, Dagnall Park. So it was quite hit hard. Not quite hit hard, but it was hit hard during the war. It's densely populated now. It was densely populated then, no doubt. And I think there was, I do know that there will be a number of stories to tell. So as I say, Richard and I are going to have a chat. And this is the thing, when I've been blessed with the success of that video, it's a case of what to do next. There's almost a temptation to rush and try and get something that's equal. But I'm not going to do that, because I want to make sure that it's genuine. What we do next, it's got some appeal, and we'll do it right, even if it means we do it, in a couple of months' time or something. But yeah, really good fun. Glad you enjoyed it, and who knows, maybe we can get Richard or his family to get the ice cream business back again. But no, it's great. I mean, Richard, the Passiti ice cream, I think there was another branch of the family in Glasgow. So there's another Passiti connection there, and I know there's family that have spread to America, and obviously Italy as well. So yeah, there's possibly some appeal from that perspective. I haven't dug around in the analytics yet to see if I can find out where most of the views are coming from, but I think most of them are going to be from this area. So first ice cream in England was apparently in 1671 for King Charles II's banquet. Don't think it was Raspberry Ripple. No, well, didn't they used to have ice houses in some of these old stately homes? In the garden you'd have an ice house, but quite how it happened, probably by accident, wasn't it? This is the way often these things happen. So I would have liked to have been able to get another video done, but through the combination of weather and where I was at with doing the edit for this or doing other stuff, it's been quite hard. I've still been doing talks. I was really ill at the beginning of the month, and really, really frustratingly had to cancel a talk for somebody. But they very kindly followed up, phoned me back the following day, and we've now booked in for September. And for my sins, in September I'm giving a talk in the afternoon and evening, 2 different venues, but that should be fun. The evening one's at the Bournemouth Society, so I might see Martin there, if not others. Support local history, join the Bournemouth Society, and see an HSS. So I'm probably going to do a couple of members only videos. So I've been wanting at some time to do a bit of stories of behind the scenes and how I do stuff, and I thought with the new gear that would be a good opportunity. So I've got a plan there. All being well, I'll get out this week and film and edit and put that live, and then the normal cycle of videos will come out. So yeah, really good fun, really good fun. And again, it's like I suppose it is a passion for telling the story. So as I say, when it lands well, it really does make it all worthwhile. When you worked for Jones Brothers in the 1980s, they started making ice cream, but it never really took off. Okay, so that was the milk delivery, wasn't it? Jones Brothers, Jones Bros Pearly, I remember, on the milk floats. But yeah, I think there are still milk deliveries around, aren't there? Is it Milk and More? And also, talking of Pearly and things, I drove past the old depot down at Brighton Road. So that's just around between the Royal Oak building and, was it the Royal Oak building? The VW building near the waste disposal place, and heading towards Purley on the left hand side. So they're doing a bit there where they're going to build, I think Marks and Spencer's are building a store there, and they were going to retain the original building, and I think that's what they're doing. But when I went by, the only bit that I could see retained by these big kind of steel structures was the facade. Is that what it's called? The front wall, like they did in Grants in Croydon. Kept that wonderful wall, and behind it is complete and utter different story. So maybe I didn't read the plans in detailed enough, but the wall's still there. Hopefully they're going to follow through on what they intended to do. An ice cream stall at Surrey Street Market. Yeah, that'd be good. Ice houses, there's another subject. Apparently one in the grounds of Coombe House, Croydon. Ooh, I might have to investigate that. Oh, Unigate, okay. Unigate, so the Unigate, Jones, Express Dairy, Co-op. Co-op didn't have milk floats, they had vans, I remember. Trucks, like flatbed trucks. Kind of keep the milk bottles in somehow. So yes, the other thing we've done, and a kind of bit of an announcement, it's more of an admin thing, but so we had our second in-person meet-up and walk a couple of weeks ago. We managed to get in between the weather. It was a sort of humid-ish day without being boiling hot a couple of Saturdays ago, and thank you to all who came along. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Like-minded people going around, we discovered some things together, because I'd been down Daunton Road and we went back up Morton Road, and there's some really quite nice properties there. One slightly confusing, they've got this tollgate, I can't remember, tollgate apartments. I was thinking, well, there was no tollgate there. And on a piece of research I'm doing about another forthcoming video, I've been digging into tollgates, because one of the subjects of a previous video about Woodside Court and about a talk that I'm preparing at the moment was a tollgate contractor for Croydon. So I'm into the world of tollgates at the moment. I won't bore you too much at the moment. I'd only tell it if I can make it interesting, hopefully. But yeah, so we did the walk, and wonderful. We started off at Lloyd Park and we went to the Coombe Road, Coombe Lane site, which is now where the tram goes around the corner, and had some old photos and maps and things of the area there. Then we crossed over up Camden Road into Spencer Road, over the top part of the crossing of Spencer Road, which is basically a concrete footpath, comes out of Beach Copse, which is where the site of the Birdhurst poisonings were. Then Brazil have gone 2-1 up, I've just noticed. I want Japan to win because we got a Crystal Palace player there, but anyway. So yes, so we went Birdhurst Rise, and we walked down Birdhurst Rise, crossed over to Daunton, went from Daunton down to the Selsdon Road railway sites, had a look round there, back along Morton Road, and sort of looped back, and then we went up Brownlow Road to finish to Cotlands, which is a really beautiful older property on Park Hill. Now, it wasn't one of the original Victorian era properties that there used to be there. It was built probably Edwardian, I think, but it was still a good property in its own right, with a nice sizable plot of land in its day. Now it kind of joins nearby to the Park Hill development, certainly opposite and a little bit further down the road. But it's a really beautiful house, so that may feature in a little snippet video or something in the future. So we Jones used to buy orange juice from Unigate. I went down to pick some up one time and backed into an Arctic lorry, smashing the van's back window. Mr. Jones was not impressed. Yes, indeed. Talking of smashing things, I managed to knock over my monitor today and chipped a bit of the glass on the corner. It doesn't actually affect the display that I use. I mean, you don't really use the bottom corner, but I was a tad frustrated. The air turned a different colour for a while, and then I looked up just to see what it would cost to replace the glass, should I be that way inclined. It's about £100 short of buying a brand new replacement monitor, which is a bit weird, isn't it? You'd have thought they'd have priced the replacement at a level where people might bring them along and get them replaced, rather than just say, I'll either live with it or just, buy a brand new monitor. Apple will get their money one way or the other. So so the South Croydon walk. Now, I mentioned about a kind of admin type change. So I've been using since the first walk a system, a company called Email Octopus, and they're one of these mailing companies where you can do marketing type emails, but you can do whatever you want. It's an email system, and I'm on their free tier, so I don't really want to pay for it, because I already pay about, I counted it up today, subscriptions to research sites and subscriptions to software that I use to do my work and my website hosting is the best part of £1,300 a year. And I don't quite make that with all the various things that I do. So I'd like to say I'm not for profit, but I'm actually for loss at the moment. So that's just the way it is. So in other words, I'm not looking to spend more money on even more fancy software solutions if I can make it work for free. So this free tier, as well as giving you access to email people about stuff, it gives you the option to have a form that people can complete to sign up for something, just one, and a landing page where people can land and subscribe. So what I've done is I have tweaked the form that related generally to a specific walk, and it's now to subscribe to, well, me and the stuff that I do. So there'll be an occasional newsletter. I'm not going to bombard you with emails, because to do that I'd have to be spending all my time writing emails. But I'd encourage you to sign up if you care to, as a way of staying in touch by that medium. And then occasionally those emails will relate to maybe things like if there's a public talk or a talk at an area where you might be interested, or it might be a way of getting in easily or paying at the door, that kind of thing. I'll let you know in there. I mean, I tend to talk about them anywhere anyway. But it's just a nice way of keeping in touch in a more kind of standard form. So that form that was specifically to sign up for walks is now a general subscription form. So you can just put name, email address, and hit subscribe. And then the form that you sign up to a walk on, for example, will be per walk. So David the other day suggested about an Addiscombe and East India Company walk, and I'm quite near with my plans to do that. So I'm going to do a video about that. I've covered bits of Addiscombe, but I'm going to do that specifically, and then we can do a walk, because that'll be a kind of walk based on the film. Sounds grand. And then I'm also going to do probably Sanderstead will be the next one in the autumn. So after the main summer holiday period is done and dusted, I've got Sanderstead. I've already got a documented walk that was produced by the Bourne Society, and I've filmed before, so we're going to go out and do that with a few people who are interested in doing that. So so that's just some admin-y type things. Feel free to sign up. Love to see you on there. So how's everyone coping with the heat wave? Well, it is a bit cooler today. It absolutely is a bit cooler. I think it was sort of noticeable yesterday. We were out, and it was a pleasure to sit out in it. And I'm not the only one looking at all the lawns down my road here, where, I mean, they say don't cut your grass in drought conditions anyway. So most people have heeded that, or have just decided there's no way I'm going to go out and get the lawnmower out anyway. So now we probably all need to go out and cut our lawns. Don't put the blades too low is something else I read. But yes, it is cooler. It's quite nice at the moment. I mean, what was the temperature? Officially 21 at the moment. And I think that we were getting what Europe had, weren't we, in the last week or so. This system seems to be coming from the west rather than the south and southeast upwards. I think it's going to get warmer, but I don't know, is that just a seasonal norm thing now, or I don't know that we're getting another intense system, but it's likely to get a bit warmer. But yeah, we were talking about the 1976 drought heat wave then. I was in mid-teens then. I don't remember it being ridiculously hot. The overriding thing for me was the drought, because I remember we had a bath or something, put the bath water on the lawn, or I remember Dad watching the beans being fed with the bath water, and didn't seem to do them any harm. But we went on holiday down to Dorset, I think, that year. And I just remember it was just like dead everywhere, and there were these, over in the sort of New Forest area, there were fires, always in the local news, Ringwood, Hampshire, and those sort of places. But yeah, the overriding thing was that it wasn't like impossible to go outdoors, which it kind of was here last week. It was that it was just dry, and people were doing rain dances and things, just to try and see if we could get it to rain. Has that game finished now? Full time, yeah. So Brazil are through, Japan are out. Brazil 2, Japan 1. There you go. World Cup update. And I think 9:30 tonight is Germany and Paraguay. So I would imagine Germany will get through them, but you never know. You never know. So yes, so lots going on still. I've got a talk on Wednesday, which should finish in time to get back and get in front of the TV for the England game. I'm not England's greatest fan watching. I've not watched any of the interviews. I've not watched any of the in-between stuff, any of the stuff they put out on YouTube, any of the kind of media coverage. Very little punditry. I think we tuned in about 20 to 9 or something before the 20 to 10 before the game on Saturday. I just do the talking on the pitch. Go and cross the white line, get onto the pitch, perform, get the win, and we'll move on. I'd rather they play than talk about it. I don't know, maybe that seems a bit negative. But I did buy an England hat from Lidl, the middle aisle at Lidl. I think it was about $7.99 official merch, England bucket hat. So they probably sold out by now. I was working in London in '76. It wasn't as hot then, but it lasted longer. Yeah, it did, didn't it? I remember them talking about that. It was weeks and weeks and weeks without any rain. Okay. Update from Martin. It was in the 30s for days on end with very warm nights, but the drought was the big thing. Local cricket matches are cancelled because of unwatered pitches. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't remember it really. I don't even know if we had fans then. Someone said this today. Nowadays, well, if you're lucky enough, you can buy a fan. I mean, there is different schools of thought about fans just blowing the warm air around the house. But it's hard to open the windows and try and get some ventilation that isn't air that's the same or warmer coming through the house. We do have portable aircon units in the 2 upstairs rooms. So here where I am now, a bit noisy, but it meant I could get some stuff done, albeit I still felt a bit, because of the heat. So, but yes, it was. It won't be the end of it because we're still only, July on Wednesday. And when was it? It was July a few years ago when we had that absolute boiling hot thing when there was the fire at Addington Hills, and other places, terrible fires that were getting out of control. So, I guess we've got to heed the warnings. But the thunderstorms were a bit of a blessing the other day because at least they watered stuff in the garden. So yes, and I had a look today at my filming list because we were in Bletchingley yesterday having a meal. And I did put that on the list some time ago about doing a little kind of walk and talk there, but I'm not sure I'll get that far in any time soon. Still got lots nearer to home that I want to cover. Still in different areas of Croydon. There's this thing on YouTube that they suggest what you might want to do next. So it's all AI, and they must look at the algorithms and all that. But it's really clever actually. So based on things that have done well, such as the City Ice Cream story and Bangor and Windmill Road, it's suggested some things about those areas, maybe the industry related to those areas or the war stories or that kind of thing. So if I can find a collection of nuggets, then I'll put those into a video. 18A has aircon like me. 16A. Yeah. Hi Andy, hope you're doing well, mate. And I say this each time, but I dug it out the other day, the research I've done on your story. So I need to kind of I need to formulate it a bit. So I found out loads of stuff. I follow some trails to build a picture of your area, not just the thing that you asked me about. That's included, but I want to weave a little bit of a story. So that, in some ways, it'll have some similarities, I think, with the with two. One with the Woodside Court story, but also with the one that I've done last week. Half dreading late August temperatures. Yeah, I mean it's a slight blessing that the days will be a bit shorter then, because obviously last week's heat coincided with the longest days, so you don't, the sun takes forever to go down, and the heat builds up, doesn't it? It bubbles up during the day, and then just hangs around. So yeah, not fun. And yeah, I'm going to put that up there because I think she was absolutely tremendous. Very sad. I saw that notification come through today. what a star she was. What an absolute star. One of the guys that I follow on social media, he said that he went to a works do. I think it was his some family connection, might have been his mum. Went to a works do, and Penelope Keith was there as the invited guest, but she was absolutely amazing, dancing with people, chatting with people, talking about her family, asking about other people's families, and at no point was it kind of chore. You know, she was there because she was asked to be there, but she got completely engaged in it, which is absolutely wonderful. Yeah, so sad. I thought she was an amazing actor. Right, I'm going to put this up, Martin. Still in for a country walk vid. I have a suggestion for Farley, preferably before winter mud. Yes, please let me know, Martin. I'll look forward to your email, because when I've done a couple of things in Farley over the back. It's really lovely over there, and it could be a nice one for the new camera rig. So yeah, let me know. I don't need much of an excuse to visit those areas. Yeah, she was absolutely. Is it possible to ask a question? Absolutely. Fire away. Will you do any green walks like when you went to Wallingham and Nor Hill? I'll put this up while you're asking your question, sir. Yeah, so with the new gear that I bought, I kept thinking I need to go up to that area again. So I might do some revisits, some crossovers with areas that I've done before, and perhaps tackle them a slightly different way. I've got the OS Maps app where you can kind of plot these trails. That's what I've used in the past, and then shared the maps online. So yeah, I'm up for doing more green walks. It's a lovely area around there. That whole Wallingham, Farley, Chelsham, Woldingham, and then goes up towards Botley and that kind of thing. Really beautiful. So I will be visiting there. Just got to do a little bit of plotting work to do that. But I had this huge talk that I delivered back in May. It took a lot of my time. The talks that I've been doing recently, I revisit, and I do tweak talks. I don't think I've ever given the same talk twice in its same form. There's always things that I think I could tighten that up, or that doesn't add any value, or whatever. I'm always kind of questioning what I do to see if I can do it better. And the audiences may not know that, but I'll know it, and therefore I'll be more kind of, hopefully it'll come out in the delivery. So could you confirm or deny, I'm going to put this up, mate, could you confirm or deny that the fields that Kent Gateway passes through used to be burial grounds for the plague? I don't know off the top of my head. I know parts of London have got those kind of plague pits. I'm happy to have a look. There may be people on the call here, or people that look at the replay who aren't live. It hasn't come up in the general research that I've done thus far, but that's a very old route there, so I wouldn't rule anything out. I suppose the thing is, it would have been in those days really rural, farmland, not the odd, obviously Wickham Court type building, and those places. Addington Palace would have been there in some form, and the churches. And it might be that they felt that was kind of out of town enough from the densely populated London areas to do some burying, but I don't know for sure, so I'm not going to say either way. But again, up to anyone on the call who might know off the top of the head, or I can do some research and add it to my list of stuff. So yeah, that's good. Meant for us to join you. I'm glad to hear that you will be visiting and revisiting. Yeah, I mean, it's been fun doing the walks. So I think all the while we've got good weather, I'm going to do those. It was something I trialled for the first time in April. So we've had April, June, and all being well, I'll do perhaps a September one and an October one, or say October, November. I think after that, people do other stuff, and the weather's less predictable. I mean, it's not that predictable anyway, is it? At the best of times, but you get where I'm coming from. Yeah. So I often thought, do I need to be branching out? But this area is so rich in not just history, the beauty, and the connections going back. So I don't think he's on tonight, but DJ Puff the Third, who's got his own YouTube channel, well worth looking him up. Give him a subscribe. He does a lot of local investigation. So he's been over to a farm at the back of New Addington recently, where he's found some old evidence there of occupation and the like, evidence of the buildings that were there, and done some map overlays on his community posts on his channel. But he's also done excavation at various different sites dotted around, where he finds these old kind of rubbish pits, but he digs out old vintage bottles and things. Really quite interesting. Some of them might be that he'll do a live video. Some of them might just be that he'll do photos and then write out the story. But yeah, DJ Puff the Third, if you look him up, he's got some really interesting stuff. Right, okay, country walks to join you on. That's a very, very good question. Yeah, so I've kind of, the first few I badged as just being the sort of town, suburban, no access issues. But you've now got me thinking, if we're following trails, and if we dress sensibly and maybe bring a walking pole or something like that in, yeah, the country walks would be a good idea. And again, from a prep perspective, if they're already been specced out, then it's just a case of picking them up and doing them. So might factor that in, try and get something done this year for that, a country walk. But I'll just be specific that people that they'll probably need some stout footwear, and that there might be some hill climbing involved. But it's worth it sometimes. I mean, when I've done those videos before at Nor Hill and the one I did over Limpsfield Way, I did some joking speed up footage or whatever to climb the hill, because who wants to hear me puffing and panting? But it's still, the views and stuff you get out there are amazing. So yes, leave all of that with me. I kind of started it because I didn't know how they would be in terms of take up. I thought, well, if I do keep them fairly simple, public transport links, all that sort of stuff, and then if we can build up some momentum, then it might be something else we can do a bit further afield. So, and I never did sort of 5-6 mile hikes. I think the longest of the country style walks that I did was the perimeter of Biggin Hill, that was about 5 miles, partly because I took a wrong turn, but it was about 5 miles anyway, because it's a huge airfield, and you've got to safely go all the way around the perimeter, keeping to public footpaths. But I did that a few years ago now, a couple of years back. But it was worth it. It was good fun. So what have we got here? Right, Martin, I missed off one of your posts. Because you said includes a very good info board about exploits and life in Addiscombe. What was that related to, Martin? Can you remind me? I've seen a response there, but I can't see what the earlier connection was. Gravelly Hill, Caterham Valley, yeah. Interested in Woldingham. Haven't really ventured out in that area. Woldingham's amazing. When I did the World's End video, I turned off so that I could climb up to Tilling Down area where the cottage was, the ruin. But someone contacted me and said if I carried along that path, there's some stuff to explore around there. So that's on my list. It's in front of me now of things to consider. So, I mean, some of these are still doable in the winter, but you just got to, take precautions. So, and I quite like a bit of, if you get a nice winter's day, crisp winter's day, there's nothing better than just going out and having a walk over the countryside. So, again, if we just, wear some proper footwear, and it's all about the boots, I would say. Decent pair of walking boots, and you'll be fine. Oh, Dave Prowse, previous post. Dave Prowse, right. I won't look at it now. I might have to look at it a bit later, but I've missed that somewhere along the line. I am looking at it now, despite saying I'm not. Yeah, but anyway, I remember that name, Dave Prowse. from the Addiscombe area. So yes, one of the guys that lived in Woodside Court probably had Woodside Court built. I found his will online and I asked Joyce from Sanderstead History Group to decipher it, because she likes a good old will from a few centuries ago, and she did some really good work. I've got to go through it all. But one of the sources when she was looking into his story was Find a Grave, where she got details of his family plot. And I said to her, did you see who took the photo on Find a Grave? Because it was me. It was yours truly. So I wanted to claim a bit of fame that I'd added a bit to Find a Grave to help researchers who go after me, who tread in my research steps. So yes, so that's where we're at. I'm going to say talks one in July. I don't think I've got any other talks until September. So a lot of these groups, they close down over summer. Sanderstead History Group got one more meeting, then nothing in August, and it makes sense really. People just have stuff to do, so it's pointless paying for hires of halls and all that sort of stuff. So I'll be having a little bit of a break, but we're not going to plan to go away until September, when we'll have just a few days away. So I will be looking to get out and film more, picking up on some of the research, picking up on Andy's story from the Croydon area. So that's my plan. So has anyone who's on got any other questions like to ask, or comments to share, or thoughts and observations? Because this doesn't work without you guys. You are the ones that give me the support. I'm so grateful, as I mentioned earlier. It's something that just, I suppose, the more I do, the more I want to do. I would love to get more videos out there, but on this call a couple of months back, I just said, what would you prefer? And I think it was more about having the quality than the quantity. I'm not just going to put stuff out there for the fun of it. I like it to be considered, and for it to tell a story, and that if you walk away saying, I never realised that, or I didn't know that was there, or I walk past that every day, didn't know that, brilliant. Then for me, I've done my job in providing a little bit of education, but hopefully in a nice, easy to digest format. So, right, we got a comment here. I do know a little bit about this. Tunnels that ran from Addington Palace to Addington Village, possibly St Mary's. As a boy, used to play them at the Palace and was never allowed to venture beyond. I think there's a lot written about these, and I think there was in the 60s, can't think of the name now, Martin might know it, Lillian someone, apologies, did some proper archaeological investigation, and I believe that it was like a drainage kind of pit from the palace. Like, so some of the waste that they found in there was kitchen related, shells and things like that. So it was less about the romantic kind of secret tunnel story and more about the practicalities of having drainage away from food waste and all that kind of thing. I think that is the case. There's also talk about the tunnel from the White House over towards the church in Sanderstead. Not been proven, but I heard only 2 weeks ago, I think 3 weeks ago, that someone was taken down there as part of a school trip, and the person who owned the house at the time said, yeah, we know that behind the cellar there's a door that goes blah blah blah. So, why would you not believe them? They didn't go down there, but yeah. So cool. Well, look, we've whizzed through today. It was a slow start, but once the football finished and once people were able to log in, they logged in. Escape route for the clergy, like a priest hole kind of thing, maybe, possibly used as that. I guess they might have said, well, essentially this is what it's for, but you may, if you need to, be able to duck and dive down the tunnel. We may never know. That's part of the fun of all of this stuff, really. I still get comments on the video about the stones down near the Shell garage. So Addington Village, why would they leave them? I've still not really seen a satisfactory answer. They cleared all of that area and they grassed a lot of it. Why would you leave the stones there? Answers on a postcard. So, but anyway, thank you guys. Hour's nearly up, so you can have a nice hour back and then watch Germany v Paraguay. But no, really do appreciate it, and keep doing what you're doing, and I'll keep doing what I'm doing. So look after yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.